What's poppin', people? Welcome to the Bella Grind Podcast, a place and a space where we elevate the voices of Black women. And we hope to encourage you to go after your goals, go after your dreams, and go after the bag. That's the money. Today I have with me Kelli Stewart, who is absolutely phenomenal. She is certainly someone that I watch and I look up to. I think you're one of the dopest sisters out here. I really do.
I'm reflecting what I see.
Hey, well, I'll take that too. But you just need to know that you are one of the dopest ones out here, like doing this thing. And so I'm just very grateful to have her here with me today. And we're just going to jump right into it. Are you good with that?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I want to start off with you telling me about the genesis for Lead. How did all of this start?
So I wish I had a very altruistic story about how I just wanted to serve, but really my husband got me here.
Okay.
So service has always been a part of my life. I was raised by my grandmother, and she was one of the pillars in the community. And so service has always been a part of me, but baseball has not. So when I met CJ, he was playing minor league baseball for the Cubs, and I didn't even think it was a big deal, really, because I'm like, what's baseball? You hit the ball, you run the base, you take a break. Like, I don't get it, you know?
You hit the ball.
But we, just by meeting him and learning more about the sport, I learned to fall in love with it, but then understanding his story. So Lead, the genesis of Lead is like the blueprint of his life. It's everything that he had that worked as a kid and none of the things that didn't work. Okay. So it's like he got to do a remix of his life, whether we're talking about parental support, community support that was or was not there, all of that is in Lead. And, Lead is like a love letter from CJ to Black boys in the inner city of Atlanta to say, here's a place where you can get the benefit of the doubt, trust, and respect, which we all know Black people in general, but Black boys specifically don't get that. Yeah.
Well, but how did you find your place in that? Because that's an awesome story. And it sounds like, it started off as his brainchild. And like you said, a love letter, right? To boys. But you are like a fierce force. You're the force multiplier, if you would ask me, for that organization, right? Yeah. So how did you then push in and find your way in that? Because you're the face too now.
That's true. And see, here's where you probably gonna make me cry for real. So
you
slick with it. You slick with it because you asked because you asked really good questions.
Okay.
So, because I thought we was just gonna leave it at that, but you peel back another layer. So here we go. So, growing up, I've just had very traumatic experiences with Black men.
Okay.
So, there was addiction in my household through one of my parents, and I saw a lot. You know what I'm saying? I saw my mom struggle a lot, with relationships, and never really understood how to have good relationships with Black men. And so that showed up in my life as a kid, as a child, as a teenager, ran with the wrong crew, made the wrong choices, really gravitated towards people who had similar struggles as me, so I wouldn't have to explain what I was going through. I just needed it wasn't that I was seeking out the wrong folks. I just wanted to be around people who knew my pain and who weren't going to look at me like you are less than or you don't have. So the way I found my voice with Lead is I think about all of the men that my mom had terrible relationships with, the boyfriends I had when I was in high school that I had terrible relationships with. Like, what if they had something like this? So when I see our boys in Lead, it's my way of pouring back into them what I wish the boys and men from my childhood would have had.
That's deep, Kelli.
Yeah, I made it through without crying, praise God.
You did a great job. But you're helping us to understand that, though. Yeah, right?
For sure.
That is what has influenced all of this.
And I also have 2 daughters. So it's like I want my daughters as young Black girls to see what young Black boys and young men should be doing. Yeah. The things that they should be doing. So I want to set that example. They have that example in a household through CJ, but I want them to see that example in the world as well.
And you're doing a great job. You have 2 phenomenal, beautiful, highly intelligent, gifted Black girls.
Oh, I receive all of that.
All of that. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
But how do you find balance? Because you have your two girls,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're also the anchor for Black boys in Atlanta through this foundation, right? So how do you balance that? What does that look like?
So I have to be honest in saying at first there was no balance. And so there was a lot of tension in our household. Not so much when we started Lead because the girls were so small. I mean, McKenna was still in a stroller. We started Lead in 2007 and she was born in 2007. So I don't recommend anybody start an organization when you have a newborn. But it was, so at that point in time, they were just used to, I just got to get up and go where mom and daddy got to get up and go. But as, they started to develop their talents and, there was tennis matches and tennis practices and this to get to.
I see it. That's why I'm like, how is she
what I
doing
mean?
this?
So it was like, how do I balance? I have to be here at this baseball game, or I have to be here at this practice, or I have to be here at this fundraising event. And I've had to tell my children that I can't be here for this thing for them. So how do I make sure they understand that I'm not choosing other children over them? And so I just at first took it for granted that they just knew. And as they got older, specifically Mackenzie, because she is the oldest, she just had a real heart to heart with me one day and was just like, I need to understand how all of this really works. And I appreciate that because I don't want to leave a bad taste in their mouths about what it means to be of service and to walk in your purpose. I didn't want to make them, averse to serving because they were like, you got to be disenfranchised yourself in order to serve the people. And I didn't want to. That's what we were doing. And we had to stop. So to find the balance, it was just lots and lots of communication. And, like family meetings, like, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Okay, you got this over here. All right, CJ, you can handle this, but I can't be there. So me and CJ really had to focus on the division of labor, which, it ain't just an economics concept. It's a real thing. And then we also had to focus on, we can't do this by ourselves. We got to build a team. And that layer peeled back to, well, we need a board who can help us get the money to build the team. And so once we were learning too, you know what I'm saying? And, as I say, you know better, you do better. And I would say in the past, maybe 5 years, we finally gotten the balance. Okay. Yeah.
But it took 5 years.
Man, it took.
It wasn't overnight.
It took, Lead has been around almost 15, so it took 10 years. Now, that's 10 years too long, everybody. That's 10 years too long. There were signs that we missed, going forward. But see, that's the benefit of what you're doing through this podcast. So somebody watching this and watching the stories that you bring to them should take you 10 to get it. Take you about 2 or 3 of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to take anything from anybody's journey. But, it shouldn't take the next group of creatives or the next group of activists the same amount of time as it took the ones prior, because you have the benefit of our lessons to learn from.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So, well, then talk to me about working so closely with your husband, because that's also a real thing.
It's a real thing, y'all.
Closely with your husband. Some of us, we get up every morning and we go to 9 to 5s, and then we see him or her when we get back home. You all are working closely with each other every day.
Yes, Lord.
What is that balance like?
So we have this saying in our house.
Yes, Lord.
We have this saying in our house that origin stories matter. So this is why I say your questions are so good, because I can't just answer your question without going back to the.
Okay.
So, when we meet people, and when we decide to date and we decide to marry, we don't just marry and date those people. We marry and date their experiences.
Say that again, Kelli.
We marry and date the people we meet. We marry and date their experiences, not just how they show up to us when we meet them.
That part.
So the hurdle that me and CJ had to get over is because of his dynamic, just with Black women growing up. It was hard for him to hear me and see me in a position of leadership other than running the household. Now, he know that running a household ain't no joke either, because he'll yield to me quickly on things like, what am I supposed to do about this? And what am I supposed to do about this? And he will take direction from me quickly on that. But when it came down to something that he loved and held dear, that he was like, oh, I'm the expert on, I'm like, yeah, you might be the expert on that, but what about this Secretary of State of Georgia stuff to make this stuff legit? What about this 501c3 so we can get, you know what I'm saying? So we just really he had to break down some of those issues that stem from his childhood so that he could see me as a woman in leadership and be able to hear what I had to say and be able to hear me when I said, you know what, I hear your heart and I know this is something that you want to do, but we can't do this right now. Or we can do this, but we have to do this in steps and chunk it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's, that's been a journey too.
Just I can only imagine.
Well, just to see how we both have evolved as, you know, human beings, because I brought some experiences with me too. And it's like, you know, ain't no man finna really tell me too much about nothing, okay? Because I grew up in a strong family full of matriarchal women.
Yeah, so, who were taking charge.
Yeah, I got one boy cousin, bless his heart. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
y'all probably beat him up.
Well, he stand his own. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But I got aunts. My grandmother, my mom, my aunts, I got one uncle, and my cousins were all girls except for my one boy. So I just grew up around a lot of strong women. And I grew up around a lot of struggle too. I mean, there were good times, but I grew up around a lot of struggle too. So I've always seen the women in my life and in my family have to stand strong, like all the time. You know what I'm saying? Me and Mackenzie were just laughing the other day, just talking about, you know, I wish Black people could just frolic and play and have leisure. Like, that would be a good thing.
We don't get that luxury though, right?
Because I was in a
conversation recently about that.
From struggle to struggle, you know what I'm saying? So I brought that to the relationship. So I also had to understand that everything did not have to be confrontational. And I also understood that everything does not warrant me saying something, which was the toughest, because I always got something to say.
That part. I can relate. I can relate.
So we've been on a journey together. And again, in the past, 5 years or so, from the business aspect of it all, we clicking. We don't take things as, seriously. CJ is very blunt, curt, to the point. And so am I, to a level, but I don't want him to be that way with me. But I had to understand it's not personal. You know what I'm saying? But I've also had to speak up too, to say, how you saying it? You saying it like this or like that? So I know how to process it. Before, I would just assume things, and so our communication has gotten a lot better.
See, I'm learning from you. So one, ask, well, what tone are you taking? Or how are you saying that? I'm going to practice that one. And then I'm going to practice, I hear your heart.
I hear your heart.
But let's see how that goes over.
Right.
I'm going to practice that with both my husband and son.
It works.
And perhaps I can start to see some changes too. I'll let you know.
Let me know.
But that's good stuff though.
Well, it works because
it's all about the approach. That's what I take from that. It's all about the approach. And that's how you keep that balance in the relationships, especially working that closely.
Yes, every day. And I wish I could say it's because I'm such a good person. That's why I take that approach. Part of it, I am a good person, but part of it is too, I hate being wrong. And I hate having to say I'm sorry about things.
But at least you own that.
Yeah. And so before I pop off on you, I want to know what you meant when you said that. Because I don't want to get caught in my assumptions and then I got to be like, you know what? That's my fault. So that's how I protect myself.
So when we started, I introduced you as one of the co-founders of LEAD, but I don't know that I properly introduced or provided a description for what the foundation is. So tell us a little bit about the purpose for the foundation, because I have a follow-up question.
Okay. So LEAD stands for Launch, Expose, Advise, and Direct. And we work with 6th through 12th grade boys in Atlanta public school system, specifically focusing on Black boys. And we use the sport of baseball to teach them how to overcome crime, poverty, and racism. We feel like those are the 3 curveballs that ultimately threaten their success. And, our vision for LEAD is that our boys will grow up to be what we call major league citizens. And that's whole positions of leadership here in the city, whether it's mayor, city council, superintendent, those type of things.
And you all have gotten national recognition. Like, y'all have blown up. Like, really doing the damn thing, to be honest. But the one thing I want to highlight about what you all are doing is this collab with Adidas. How did y'all get into that? Tell me about that. That's huge. Let me just say that.
Thank you.
That is huge. Other than the mural that you all have, because you have a whole ass mural that is up in Atlanta. So,
which is unreal to me still.
That is so dope. That's dope by itself, in and of itself, to have your own mural. But talk to me about the Adidas collab.
So the Adidas piece goes back, I think, 6 or more years, just to a conversation that CJ had with a distributor of ours. And CJ was looking in the catalog for, gear for the ambassadors. And, it kind of goes back to that do the right thing. I think that's the movie, the comment, I don't even got no brothers on the wall. Like, he was like, I'm flipping through this catalog for baseball and I don't see nothing but white boys. And he's like, black boys play baseball. So he talked to Jimmy, our distributor, and he was like, look, man, I got over 300 black boys in our organization. Like, we can do a photo shoot. I mean, can we get some brothers in this catalog? So Jimmy was like, I'll do you one better, the best I can. I can connect you with my Adidas folks. And so we just started snowballing from there, getting connected with people, telling, our story, being our authentic selves, showing up, as CJ says, openly black, not trying to
openly black. That's good.
Yeah, not trying to
openly black,
assimilate or, make ourselves palatable for people. Just basically saying we need some more black folks in this catalog.
Right.
And that relationship led to us meeting the Adidas baseball group. And I wouldn't even begin to start naming names because there's so many of them and they're all so awesome. And I don't want to offend anybody, but 6 years in the making. Mm-hmm. And then, our dear brother and dear sister, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, were murdered, and companies started making all of these statements about, how they felt about the black community and this, that, and the other. So Adidas was taking some reflective time at that time as well. And they launched their Honoring Black Excellence campaign. So we've been in relationship with them for a while, and all of these events transpired. And so when they launched Honoring Black Excellence, or HBE, they wanted us to represent Atlanta. We had no idea what the campaign was. And internally, they were working out what it is. So, nobody asked for a mural. Like, we wouldn't have, that falls under the things you don't even know to pray for. Like, mm-hmm. I wouldn't have even known that was possible, because people don't get murals till they die. You know what I mean? So we didn't even know to ask for that. But when the team came back to us and told us all the things that they had planned, we were just in awe of how God has just moved us from here to there. And then they were like, how would you guys like to have your own shoe? Yeah. I'm like Run DMC?
Ooh, like Run DMC.
I'm like, yes. Is that what we talking about? Like Shell told Adidas, And they were like, yeah. And they said, you know what? Because one of the things we told them we wanted was to increase our platform so that our ambassadors, our boys in our organization, could have more of a platform. Because, a lot of times when kids are doing things that are negative, it's because they're trying to have respect, or they're trying to be seen in what they see may be a positive way, but it may be doing something negative. So we want to combat that and say, we want to give you a platform where you can be seen in an amazing way. And so they came back to us and said, how would you like for some of your ambassadors to be in on the design of the shoe? And I'm like, what kind of resume builder is that as a kid to say that you have worked directly with the Adidas design team? And this is just not Adidas North America. Like, they worked with people across Adidas Global. So that was amazing. So
yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome opportunity for those kids. Like, resume builder, yes. But like, when you think beyond that, all of it says legacy to me. You know, that's what you all are doing, is like really leaving a legacy. And so that's huge. That has to be huge. But then those kids too, because once they designed it, it's there now.
It's there.
You know, they too have left the legacy. So that's dope.
Yeah, thank you.
Like really dope. So I'm getting ready to engage you in a fast round.
Lord help me.
The way this fast round works is I'll throw out some phrases, or it may be a sentence.
Okay.
You have to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have to tell me why.
I got you.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Is it easier to start a habit or to break a habit?
Break.
Tell me why you say break.
Oh man. Breaking a habit. So I recently just gave up milk.
Good for you. I probably shouldn't promote that,
but I'm just saying, we were trying to figure out how to have better diet. You know, we got athletes in the house, you know, and so I don't know, one of the girls, Mackenzie or McKenna, came back. They were having this class in school, and they was like, "Mama, let me tell you something about milk." And by the time they said something to me about it, I was like, you know what I'm saying? So, but cereal is my thing. Cereal is my go-to. Like, that's my 2:00 in the morning. I'm hungry. I don't want no meal, but I can get me a bowl of cereal and I'm good, you know? And so trying to give up milk, Lord have mercy, the things I did to try to give up milk. I do not like alternative forms of milk either. So I found that out. But it took me a minute. But once those 2 or 3 months went by, I was in a good groove, but that was a hard habit for me to break.
Really? So breaking a habit. Okay.
Yeah.
Fight the power or keep the peace?
Baby, fight the power.
Fight the power. Tell me why.
Always.
Why fight the power?
Fighting the power. So for me, when I hear fight the power, I think about racism. And when I think about racism, I think about all of the slick, sinister ways that it mutates. So you always have to be agile in your approaches and how you fight that power. And that's why I chose that one.
Okay. Yeah. Humble leadership or assertive leadership?
Oh, assertive leadership.
Why?
Because being a woman and being a Black woman, we are, and being a dark-skinned Black woman, and being a dark-skinned Black woman who presents more masculine than feminine.
Come on.
I have to be careful that I don't let all of the assumptions and stereotypes that exist about me keep me from being who I am when I enter a room. So that's why I say assertive leadership.
That's good, Kelli.
Thank
you. You, girl, you going there today. Hidden talents.
One of our studio guest audiences inserted this
question. Yeah, it's a good question, though.
Yeah, it is.
Hidden talent.
It is. I don't even know if it's hidden anymore. Like, I sing. I love to sing. I came back to Atlanta out of high school because I was going to be the next Monica, whoever was popping at that time. So I was going to sing. So that's my
That's your hidden talent. Do you exercise it often?
Oh, all the time. So not as much as I used to in a public space. Like, I used to be on praise team at church, but the girls' schedule and the practice and praise teams today aren't like they were back in the day when I was like, they real official professional people.
It's a production.
They practice a lot, and I just didn't have the time. So I just, sing a lot at home.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also have the Lead Center for Youth. Tell me about how that came about.
So when the pandemic hit, and again, I don't even know what year this is that we've been going through this, but as you know, Atlanta Public Schools had to shut its doors, not only to students and, teachers, but also to community partners. Washington High School is our home base, and we had no access to a facility and to run our programs. And so to say I was in a panic was an understatement, because I didn't want to turn our families away and just say, we don't have anything anymore. So we called one of our dear friends, a guy named David Nelson, who's in commercial real estate here. I think I texted David at 11:30 at night. I didn't even care. And I was like, David, we are in a bind. We need a spot. how can you help? He showed us the space that we're in over in the West End community at the Met ATL. And I fell in love with the space only after he took me to the back of the unit. And he was like, where do you remember this scene from? And I was like, I don't know. He says, what movie? And I looked and I couldn't think about it. And he was like, this is where they shot portions of Black Panther, the movie. So I was like, okay, Chadwick Boseman is speaking to me. And this is our spot. So in August of 2020, we took possession of the Lead Center for Youth, totally going out on faith because it was not on our financials. You know what I'm saying? It was just what had to be done at the time. Our board was very supportive of that move, and it's a 5,500 square foot training facility, space for professional baseball instruction, mentoring, safe haven, second home for our boys, and it's right in their community. So it combats that idea that a lot of us as Black people have, that in order to get better and in order to get something that's excellent, we have to go outside of our communities. And we made sure that we had a very special space that was crafted and carved out just for them right in their community.
Y'all better do it. Well, it's been so fun talking with you today, Kelli. I meant what I said when I started this interview, when I said that I think that you are one of the dopest Black females out here in the game. I love that you are leading a legacy. I will continue to look up to you. I will continue to support you.
Thank you.
You represent Black women well. You make me proud to be a Black woman. And so thank you. Now, before we leave, you have to go ahead and show us this shoe, because we can't talk about the collab and not let you promote it. And then I need you to tell people where they can find you.
Okay, so this shoe is what our ambassadors call So Atlanta. So when they were designing this shoe with the Adidas team, they said, we want to make sure that this shoe embodies, you know, what Atlanta means to us, but they also wanted to make sure that it embodied what lead meant to them. So the heat map of Metro Atlanta is embossed on the shoe. Here, there's some detail there. Also, Spaghetti Junction is embossed on the shoe by the Adidas sign, and right here around the crest of the top of the shoe, we have Lead Atlanta on the strap. We also have a very strong character program called Core Value Training. And so we have 6 core values: excellence, humility, integrity, stewardship, loyalty, and teamwork, that I say teach, but they are just a part of everything that we do throughout our programming. And so those values are very important to our ambassadors. So they wanted to have something on the shoe that showed what they value. So you can actually take a Sharpie to this part and write what the value is. So, and then the other piece is the ambassador embossing on the bottom. I guess this is called the bubblegum bottom, is what I've heard my ambassadors say. But this is a way for them to share, you know, lead with others, because we always have people say, well, how can I become an ambassador? I'm like, well, if you're not in Atlanta Public Schools and you're not 6th through 12th grade, you cannot become an ambassador. But if you buy these shoes, you can become a part of the family. And so you can go to, so they are on adidas.com. There are also some that are at Dick's if you can't find your size at Adidas, because I know they were getting pretty thin in their inventory. But the way you find us is at leadcenterforyouth.org, and you can find out all the information about our programs. You can also find some awesome videos on there. If you're like me, I don't like a whole lot of text. Sometimes video, you gotta get straight to the point. But there's also a link to where you can find the shoes as well.
Okay, well, I already know now. I'm probably going to need at least 2 pair for Christmas.
Come through.
So we will be supporting that. And that's phenomenal. I like every piece of that. You know, I'm all into the design. And my son likes to write on shoes too. So that is wonderful. Well, that's it for us today. Remember, always act like a lady, think like a boss, and stay on your beautiful grind. Peace. Bobby. Say it like Whitney. Bobby. I'm just saying. And it's gonna cut right there, and then lead into.
That's all you want to say.
Because then, what I need to say. Y'all better. I want to say y'all better damn do it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to say. Y'all better damn do it.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. We can do that part. You want me? Because you said natural.